Well, good morning. This is Pastor Michael Brown with another segment of Stories of Hope from the heart of our community. Today, my guest is Miss Katrina Wood. Katrina is our women's shelter manager here at KGM. Good morning, Katrina.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing wonderfully well. So we want to dive right in. We're trying to get information out to our community about what we do, accurate information. You've been with us how long, Katrina?
I've been a staff member for 11 years.
Okay, and in that time, you've done a number of things.
I have. I actually started as a women's shelter associate back in 2011, just part-time. I knew nothing about the mission when I came here. I just had a friend's mom who worked here and was like, hey, come down and work at the mission. And so I came down pretty blind. I had no idea what was going on here. So I started on second shift as a women's shelter associate, and I worked in what we referred to as the RC back then. So I did that for about a year and a half, and then I had the opportunity to go into the long-term program.
Okay.
And so a men's shelter staff and myself went over as lead supervisors and worked under the program director, which was John. And so I did that until the long-term program got put on hold for the new building.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, I transitioned into case management because that was just, I guess, the natural place to go. And so I did case management up until about almost exactly a year ago when I became the manager.
Okay. So now you're managing the women's shelter. What's your population that you work with? Who are the folks that you're most directly connected to?
So the women's shelter serves kind of three different levels. We do emergency services, which is just adult women over the age of 18 who need a safe place to sleep, and we don't have any barriers. They can come in and lay down for the night and get a good night's rest. And then we have the next step program, which is for the single adult women who are like, I need a little bit more help. I want a little bit more investment. I'm going to make some more commitment, so they can move up into our singles dorm. And then I work also with the moms and the children. So moms and children come to our side, whether they're a single mom or they have a husband. Men don't stay on our side though. So the man would go to the men's side. So I work with adult women over 18 and then moms with children.
Okay. How are your numbers right now as far as opening a new building and that? What are things looking like?
Yeah, so we've been open almost a year, and we have been full since we've been open.
Okay.
Our emergency services sleep 60, and so when we first opened, we were running about 35, maybe 40, but consistently over the last couple months, we've been at 55 to 65.
Yeah.
So we've been very full in our emergency services. Our family floor has 8 dorm rooms, but in 16 individual rooms, so it can hold 64 individuals. It's been full. Ever since we opened the new building, it's been full. Our third floor was intended to be our singles dorm floor, so it could hold 64 single women. However, 5 of those rooms are being occupied by families.
Wow.
So we have 21 rooms occupied by families, 3 for our singles dorm. And we have 13 in our singles dorm next step program right now.
What are some of the things, if you can remember some, what are some of the things that people tell you, I was doing fine and all of a sudden this happened and now I'm here? What are some of the things that direct a person here?
So with our moms, for example, a lot of it is just, so we're seeing a lot more domestic violence. We're getting moms that come in with relationship issues with their significant other. Some of that has been verbal, physical abuse. So that's one of the things that we're seeing an increase in lately. And then the other one is just finances. The rents have went up so much in the last couple of years, and food prices and everything is rising, but funds aren't rising. Subsidies aren't rising. So we see a lot of people who come just because they're financially struggling.
So what do we have that will help them? I mean, a single parent has gotten abused physically, let's say, and so she turned to Kalamazoo Gospel Ministries. What can we do to help her?
So once our women come into the family shelter, they automatically go into a dorm room, which means that they have to be here every night, so they have consistency, and then they meet with our case manager.
Okay.
And so we do two things. We give them a one-on-one worker, which is just every staff member is assigned to like 3 or 4 ladies, and they oversee those ladies while they're here, and that is really meant to be relational. So how can I pray for you? How can I support you this week? Do you just need somebody to talk to? And so that's been significant because it gives them an outlet, but it also builds trust.
Right.
And then we have our case manager who meets with them at least twice a month. So it can be weekly, but it's at least twice a month. And she does an intake and figures out what the barriers are. And so then she's able to prioritize those barriers and start working on them right away. So it could be anything from, I need a driver's license or a state ID, I don't have my kids' birth certificates, to I can help you apply for a housing voucher, up to finding stable housing. So we help moms and single adults with everything, like I said, from getting an ID to legal help. We have a legal clinic that comes in. Medical help. We have a medical coordinator that can help them with that. We take our guests to ISK for an assessment. So whatever the challenge is, whatever the barrier is, our case manager can connect them to resources and guide them through that, which I think is essential. Because a lot of people don't know what all the resources are, and they don't know how to navigate that.
Right.
So really having somebody to help navigate all of that is very helpful.
Now, how do we get them connected to the service? Do we have to take them to ISK? Does ISK come here? Do we have services here, or do we always have to take them out? Is that?
So both. We make a lot of phone calls to get appointments and stuff like that. ISK does come here. They've just started coming here on a regular basis, so they can go down and see them when they're here. Disability Network, for example, started coming, so a lot of resources are coming here, and they can see them right here. We've recently been working with Prevention Works and doing parenting support. So we have another class starting today. So a lot of things do come here. Some things we take them to. So we've taken people to ISK for the Access Center to get that initial assessment done. Caseworkers, CPS workers, they all come here and meet with our guests. So that's really helpful because they don't have to figure out how to get there and how to get bus tokens and all of that. We're really trying to incorporate it for them to have the support come right to them.
Right. So our listening audience, a lot of them are volunteers or potential volunteers, or they want to potentially support what we do here at KGM. What kind of stuff could somebody do or give, or how can they support our women's shelter specifically?
So we need donations because we provide everything. A lot of our ladies come in and they don't really have a lot of resources. So we provide everything from diaper wipes and Q-tips to shoes and clothing. And so we're always taking donations for toiletries, diapers are a big thing, clothes, that kind of stuff. Because when our ladies come in, we want to be able to give them what they need and support them in that way. We need volunteers to just come down and hang out with our guests.
Just interact.
Just come down and sit with them, paint their nails, just build relationship and provide support. We don't really encourage them to drive people places or anything like that. It's more what they can come down and support in the community, in the shelter.
Yeah. Have you ever had an occasion to see someone who they're in the shelter and all they need is a job? If they could have a job. So what would you say to someone who is possibly an employer?
So our ladies have amazing skills. So I think that sometimes there's a perception that, they're homeless, so they're not going to be a good employee. But our ladies are resilient. They have skills and they have a desire to work, and they work hard. And so I would say to employers, give them a chance. If you are hiring, let us know, because our case manager can then have a list of places that are hiring and then take those skill sets as she's building relationships and figuring out, I love to cook, I'm good at computers. She can connect them with those jobs.
Right. Now, you just used the word resilient, and I don't know if you was trying to give me a segue, but But you use that word resilient, and tell me what resilient means to you right now, and what do we have going on here at KGM?
So resilient to me means that no matter the circumstance, no matter what challenge that they faced, they get up the next day and they keep going.
Right.
And they not only do they get up and keep going, but they get stronger and they learn through those experiences, and it helps them go forward in their life, which is what we see in the shelter.
Yeah.
So what we have going on is a luncheon. So we're going to have a women's luncheon.
A women's luncheon. What's it called?
It's called Resilient.
There you go. That's what
It's called Resilient, and it's a women's luncheon. It's going to be on April 21st, and it's for people to come down and learn about the mission and what's going on, and to support, because we need support to make sure that we can offer everything that we do.
Yeah, I don't know if people know. I think some people do know that this is the slowest time as far as giving goes for the mission. And so for us to be trying to fundraise and get some of the things that we need to have bills paid,
yes,
so that these ladies have and the children have what they need. And so Resilient is one of those efforts. And I'm telling you that last year when we had our first one, we had so many people from the community to come. And whenever I talked to them, the one thing they would say is, I never knew.
Right.
They never knew what people go through. They never knew some of the challenges they had. They never knew what KGM was doing to help them. It's just so much that they didn't know.
Right.
So I just want to tell you, if you're listening to this program and you really want to know, number one, what KGM does and what we do for our women, for our ladies and the children that are here, come down, be a part of that Resilient luncheon that we're going to have. Now it's going to cost, okay, because it costs to put this stuff on, and but still, I guarantee you it's worth it. We're going to have a silent auction during that time, and so there'll be some things that you can purchase if you so choose, but there's going to be a cost to the luncheon. Do you know what that is?
It's $60 per ticket.
$60 per ticket. And so those will go on sale. Just keep an eye on our website. That'll be posted as we get closer to that day that you can go ahead and purchase your ticket. And the young lady that's coming is named Christine Chappelle.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
And she actually, I don't want to put all her business out there, but she actually is going to be ministering to us about how her life went, and she got help in a mental institution.
Yes.
And I know a lot of times we look at people and we say, oh, they're here or they're there, they'll never be any better. But she's just, God's done so much in her life, and she's wanting to share that with our listening audience. So keep an eye on our website, KZOOgospel.org. That's KZOOgospel.org. If you got questions, give us a call, 269-345-2974. That's 269-345-2974. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, or if you want to volunteer or help support what we're doing here, you can get all of that taken care of through a simple phone call or up on the website. As we're having this conversation, Katrina, and I know that from time to time I get to talk to people from different parts of the ministry, and generally those folks on the front line, as you and your team are, generally they'll have a story. They'll say, well, it was a mom who, they don't have to call no names, but it was a mom who came and she was here, and then she's doing great now.
So I have lots, but I'll just focus on one.
I know
I have a lot. There was a lady when I first started in the program, because every experience I had was a new one. I hadn't worked in a long-term program. I hadn't worked in a shelter. And so when I went to the long-term program, there was a lady who was already there. And she was very animated. And she would get so mad, and she would throw her hands up, and she would be like, I quit. And I was like, no, that's not a good idea. And we'd talk about it, and we'd sit down, and we'd talk about it. And nobody thought she would go anywhere, because it just seemed like this cycle kept repeating.
Yeah.
And one day she threw the mop down at me and dumped over the water, and as the water went all over my shoes, I was like, you're going back downstairs. So, but in that, she kept growing, right? And she kept learning, and she apologized, and she would come back and do right. She graduated the program.
Right.
She graduated, and she did well, and she transitioned into our transitional housing, and then she got her own place, and she just continued to do well, and now she's moved into another state, and I think last time I talked to her, she was in Kansas, but she reconciled with one of her daughters, which she thought would never happen, and she's making it, and she's doing well. And like after she moved out of our transitional housing and was in her own, her and I hung out a little bit. Like we'd go out to dinner or out to breakfast, but it was just nice to see her come onto the other side and have graduated and had some stability in her life. So I'll never forget her because she was so intense when I first met her.
Yeah.
But she's doing great.
But you know, the thing is to always believe.
Yes.
That's what I talk to you all a lot about. Always believe. Believe that this person is not always going to be here.
Right.
They're stuck right now, but God, as he says in Jeremiah 29:11, he has a plan.
Yes.
You know, he's got a plan to move them forward, and if we could get them to see it, but we can't expect them to see it if we're not demonstrating that we see it.
Right.
You know, and so it's just so fulfilling when, especially when you've gotten to know a person like that and the things that they're going through, you know, you can see a little glimmer of hope coming through. And I got a letter a few weeks ago that I read to you guys this morning, and it was from a lady who wanted us to know just how different her life was because her dad and her uncles had spent time at KGM years ago, and because we were able to help them find stability, then the whole family dynamic changed going forward. And she just wanted to encourage staff and said, keep doing what you're doing. You know, and that's what we talk about. You know, you plant a seed, sometimes you're planting, sometimes you're watering, and you don't know what you're doing, but you are still, you know, giving them information, loving up on them, you know, loving them back to wholeness and everything. And it's a process, you know. And I just want to say, I know I'm probably biased, but I want to say to the listening audience that our women's shelter staff is amazing. I have watched them work their shifts, get off shift, and then go to either hospice or a hospital to pray with someone who has left the mission and is either going through medical or is at the end of life and that kind of, and just love them back to wholeness and set up a schedule so that that person never has to be by themselves. You know, you guys are doing a tremendous job in that, you know. And the other thing I love about your team is the way that while you're helping mom and holding mom accountable to whatever they need to do, you're loving up on the kids.
Yes.
You know, loving up on the kids. So while kids are here, what kind of things do we do so that the kids experience some normalcy?
Yeah. So we have community rooms, and so we have community rooms where the kids can go in the evenings, and they don't have to stay in those little rooms and just kind of be boxed in.
Right.
They go in there and they watch TV, they play games, they throw around the softball, you know, like they interact with other kids.
With other kids, exactly.
Right, and they don't have to just be isolated to what room they've been assigned, but they can come together as a community. Kids need to play. They need to interact with each other.
Yeah.
And so that provides them some normalcy. They have the daycare that they can go to after school so they can do crafts and not have to just hang out around outside. And then we have a couple things that come in during the week, like Muscle Monday, and they just do activities.
What is Muscle Monday?
Yeah, so Muscle Monday is a ministry that comes in on Mondays, and they it's some volunteers, and they do exercise.
Okay.
They exercise their muscles, and they do jumping jacks, and they just move, and it's and then they also share the gospel during that time, and so that just gives them another opportunity to be sown into and to release some energy. That's important.
That is so good. You're so right. And I know that Muscle Monday is not the only group. But tell me about another group.
So we also have a Thursday Bible study that comes in for the kids, and they come in and they have snacks and they do Bible stories, and they just get to spend some time again with other volunteers. That it's not the same faces every day, and just to be poured into.
Yeah.
So important because, like you said, we plant seeds. We may never see those seeds grow, but we are continually planting them because somebody's going to remember someday what somebody did for them. And we want to be the ones who are planting those seeds and giving them truth so that they can take that.
And there's another group also, Kindness Acts.
Yes.
Now, Kindness Acts, I know that they do a number of events throughout the year, but especially during the summer, where they take the kids out to boat rides on the lake and all of those kinds of things. How much do you think that helps people in a homeless situation?
Oh, tremendous. It gives them, like you said, normalcy. It gives them hope. It gives them, hey, somebody's investing in me.
That's right.
I'm not just staying in a homeless shelter. People are investing. They care about me. They want me to succeed. And those events are awesome because, like you said, they go to camp, they go boating, they go to, I think they've been to like gymnasiums where they get to play basketball. They do all kinds of things, Christmas bags, and just Kindness Acts blesses our ministry in so many ways.
Yeah, I think some kids would never have that experience if they didn't come here.
No.
I really believe that. And I think the same thing about folks. I know folks in our long-term program, twice a year we take them up north.
Yes.
And that's a whole nother experience we'll talk about when we start talking about our long-term programs. But to create normalcy, we call it, but it's the ability to help people go through a homeless experience with the least amount of trauma, because you want them to have all their needs met.
Right.
And I'll tell you too that 2023 is 90 years that Kalamazoo Gospel Mission has been doing what we do in the city of Kalamazoo. 90 years. And so we're going to be talking more later about celebrating what we're doing to celebrate this year. And just while it's on my mind, if you're listening to this program and you're a supporter of ours, just give us extra $90 this year. Just one check for extra $90. And if you've never supported us, one check for $90. Just write us a check for $90 just to help us keep going. If you have been supporting us, increase your giving just for this year by $90 or whatever we can attach to that $90 just to say, hey, $90 is a special mile marker, and we want to keep going, but we need your help to do that. So how are you fixed as far as staff goes? Are you fully staffed yet, or?
So we have 2 part-time openings.
Okay.
So we're doing pretty well, but we do have 2 part-time openings, and those mostly second shift, which is like 4 to 10, 5 to 10, or I could use one on overnights, which is 10 to 7:30.
Okay.
So we're doing pretty well, but.
So how would somebody, if they're listening to this program and they say, you know what, I just feel God tugging at my heart to be a part of that, how would they let you know?
So
how would they get a hold of it?
They can go to our website and click on the careers button, and then there's they can fill out the little form right there, and then I will get a notification.
Okay.
So they can go right through our website, or they can call us. They can call us directly at the mission, and they can get directed to my extension.
Now, do you ever have an occasion, or have you ever seen people that leave the shelter and they move right into a job?
Yes.
And how frequently does that happen?
Are you talking about a job here at the mission?
No.
Or
just a job. A job, period.
Yeah. So that happens quite a bit. We have a lot of our, especially the people in our next step, so the single ladies who get jobs while they're here. Yeah. So they secure employment and then they get their housing. But we do have some that move out and then go right into a job.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in the community may hear the term housing first, and we don't necessarily ascribe to housing first. We kind of like housing third.
Yes.
And so what that means is that before we put a person in a house, We help them deal with their addictions and all of the speed bumps or all of the things that are hindrances to them moving forward. And then we train them, try to get them trained for a job or a skill set. And then once that's done, then get them ready to move into housing. And the other thing we're doing here at KGM is we're trying to, we want to create some transitional housing space with some of the homes in the community of Kalamazoo here. And so you'll probably be hearing more of that as time goes by. If you want to know more about it, write me or call me and let me know. If you want to support something like that in some way, let us know, and we'll make sure that your support that you send goes directly to that type of program. And Katrina, you guys are doing a tremendous job, just a wonderful job. And I am so happy, that God has sent the individuals to this team that just have the caring and compassion that you all do. I so appreciate it. If you know somebody, you're in the community, you know somebody that needs this type of help, give us a call. And if we can support them or help them to get back to a place of wholeness, then we want to do that. Let me pray for you and your team before we go.
Sure.
Well, Father God, we just give you praise and glory and honor, God, for who you are and for this amazing team that you've given us here at KGM. Father, I thank you for Katrina and all of her ladies on the women's shelter team. I pray, God, that you would always give them a heart to serve the people you send. I pray, God, that even as they sit across the table from some of our ladies, that they hear your voice, God, giving them insight and discernment into what is needed right now. And so, God, we pray that this community continues to support the wonderful work here. And God, if there's somebody that's listening to this and that they know somebody that needs our help, please, God, help them, direct them to us. And we'll do everything we can to help them be ushered back into a place of wholeness. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, I've been Pastor Michael Brown. This is another segment of Stories of Hope from the heart of our community. My guest here today has been Katrina Wood, our women's shelter manager. Meet with us here next week, same time. We'll have another great story for you. God bless.